Okay, so this is going to be an instructional slash overview video of the Chausson Etape line 650. This is actually a 2025 model. So first of all, we'll go around the external of the vehicle, and then we will go into the habitation area and cab area. As you can see, this vehicle does come with an awning. I'll send a separate link on the email how to set up and use the awning. This is the highlight where all the main components are in the vehicle, especially where your drain valves and fill valves are. First thing I'm going to show you is how to open the bonnet area. So to get access to your bonnet area, you are going to need your vehicle blade key. So basically you insert that here and you twist to the left, that unlocks it, and then you need two hands for the next bit, but you twist to the right and hold, and then lift up with your other hand. So as you can see, I have got the bonnet open. The main reason for this is to show you where the terminal points are in case you need to jump start the vehicle for any reason. So if you do need to jump start the vehicle, under this red cap here is going to be your positive point, and then your negative point is just down here on this silver hook, this eye hole here. That will be your negative terminal point, like I said, in case you need to jump start the vehicle for any reason. And then obviously you will need access under here for your screen wash fill, which is obviously in front of the driver. So now I am going to carry on around the external of the vehicle. So I'm going to start off on the passenger side. So if you do need to fill up your vehicle with diesel or AdBlue, you need to open the passenger door, and that will give you access to this compartment here. So the top one is obviously your diesel fill, and then below you just need to pull this one, and that will give you access to your AdBlue fill. Obviously, while I've got the door open, I'll show you the blackout blinds. So driver and passenger door have these blinds here. To open these, you need to pull this towards you and lift up. Just be gentle with these because they are quite delicate, and then they lock into place like so. As you can see, nice and blacked out there. And then the front windscreen, I'm not going to do it because you do need two hands, but you've got a handle here and there's one in front of the driver. Basically you lift this all the way up and that goes along this rail, and then you can either have it a quarter of a way down, so obviously you get a bit of daylight through still, or you can put it all the way to the top. But like I say, you do need two hands to do that one. And then when finished, lift it up, slide it all the way down, and then you just need to secure it, lock it into place like so. Also, if you do need to swivel the driver or passenger seat, you do have two arms on here. So this big bar here, that makes your seat go forwards and backwards, and then to swivel the seat, this little arm here, you pull that out, that releases the mechanism and then lets you swivel the seat. And then when you are ready to put them back into place, you will hear them click into place. On this vehicle, it has been fitted with a gas flow system. To fill up the gas flow system, you need to take this cap off here, and then this is already connected up for the UK side, so you just need to connect onto here and fill up. And then there will be adapters inside. So down here we've put the adapters, so they're for like main Europe and other areas. And obviously we've got your gas flow tank right there. Obviously you do need to come here to turn on the gas itself, and then if you give the bottle a shake, you will see the valve on top, it will move. That will give you indication if it's got gas in it or not, but also there is a gauge on top. So at the minute this is full because we would have filled this up. That's included in our process. So you've got a green and it goes down to yellow and red on your gauge on top on the dial. Next we have your mains hookup connection. You might need to push this blue tab down to lift up the lid on the plug when you are unplugging it. Next we have your service hatch in effect, I call it. But on the left hand side we have your 12 volt system here. So this is where all your fuses are. If one of the fuses does blow, this is where you will come to. And then here we have your 240 side. So again, you'll come to here if something trips. Just to highlight this one on the far right with a sticker on it, what is down, that is actually empty. So don't think that has tripped, it is blank. There is no power going to that. There is instructions on here as well to help you. Here we have your fresh water tank. So if you need to fill up this, basically twist this nozzle out here, take the cap off, hose pipe in. When the water starts to come back out of this tube, that means your fresh water tank is completely full. Down here we have a level to drain your tank down to around 20 litres. Obviously you've got a sticker here to highlight, so in the vertical position, obviously that's the min level. And then obviously for the maximum level, if you knock this valve down like that, that means you can fill up the tank completely full. And then I'll try and show you, but I don't know if I can. Underneath this vehicle, just there it is, there's a white tap. Basically that white tap is when you are draining your fresh water tank completely empty. So it's just a 1/4 turn John Guest speed fit tap. So when you are emptying your fresh water tank, you do need to open that valve underneath the vehicle. Here we've got your external shower point for obviously washing boots or pets off. And then we have got your ski locker, or as I like to call it, your surfboard locker, depending what you're into. You got storage up there, and obviously you can see in here we've got all your gubbins, your infill cushion, if you're down it to berth, there's loads of stuff in here. The main reason you need access in here is if you are draining your boiler. So you need to take this cover off here, and then as you can see, that yellow valve there is to drain your boiler from all the water. So currently in the vertical position, that is to drain. If I'm going to fill up my boiler or my water system with water, I need to knock this down. So now I could actually prime my boiler system completely. I'll leave this up because everything in this vehicle is drained out, and then just put this cover back on neatly. But your boiler is right at the top up there. You won't need access to the boiler, it's only when it's being serviced. The one thing you will need to do on your boiler side though is up here on the top left corner, you have got a flue cover. So on this you will need to take this flue cover off if you are turning your boiler on for the hot water, to heat up your hot water on gas. If you're on electric, you don't need to take this cover off. But if this cover is on when you are trying to fire it up on gas, it should fail, because it should have a sensor inside which will detect that the obviously fumes can't escape. And obviously when you are not using it, just try and put that cover back on, just to save any water going down into the flue when travelling. You have got a reverse camera on this vehicle, which is just lower down, just above the number plate. Here we've got the other side of the garage area. So as you can see, all your gubbins what come with this vehicle with Chausson are all in the garage. This vehicle does have the Arctic pack on it, so you'll have a silver screen, some vents for the fridge, stuff like that. You've got mains hookup here, like 240 volt socket, sorry, and then obviously a 12 volt in the garage area. You've got light switch. This will only work when the 12 volt panel is on in the habitation, which I've got currently on. To shut these doors, all you need to do is push it shut and they won't open, but To lock them completely, push the handle in, and then you need the key in here, quarter turn, and that will lock. Next we have your toilet cassette. So you need access to this, obviously, if you need to empty and clean your cassette. To take out the cassette, you just need to lift this orange tab up here, lift it up, pull the cassette towards you. When you get the cassette out, to empty and clean your cassette, twist this nozzle out, take this grey cap off, and then if you tilt up the cassette, put your thumb on this button here. This lets air into the top of the cassette, so it's aerated, and then obviously all the fluids flow out faster. Also, you can get access and open the toilet cassette and clean internally with an hose pipe if needed. And then once finished, put the grey cap back on and twist the nozzle back in. And the main thing you need to do on this bit is push it in, but you just need to make sure that this orange tab is securely down, as you can see, so your toilet cassette is secure into place, and that is lockable too. Right below that we have your grey waste valve. So basically this is a push and pull rod, so if I pull it, which is already open, that will obviously drain all the water in the middle of the vehicle underneath. And then to close it, you just push it, and that is closing the valve. It's straightforward as that, push and pull. So to pull, that opens the valve, push it in, that shuts the valve. Here we have external barbecue point, gas point. So you just need a quick release connection, which goes on to the brass fitting there. And then obviously here, as you can see, we've got ventilation for your fridge and freezer, so keep that clear at all times as well. And now we'll go into the habitation area. Like I said, on your awning, I'll send a separate link on the email how to set up and use the awning. Next, we're going to go over the habitation control panel. Currently got it switched on, but I'll switch it off. So your top left, you press and hold, and that turns obviously your master control panel on. The next one is going to be your internal 12-volt system. So this does your lights and your USB chargers. Same with your igniter for the stove. So you need this on for your 12-volt system. If you don't need the lights on, you're better off turning them off at the master switches. Next one, we have your water pump. So on your water pump, you only want to turn on when you've got water in your fresh water tank. You don't want to run this without water, because you could potentially burn out the motor. Next one is going to be your awning / porch light externally. The bottom left, you press it once and it will light up here for your habitation level on the habitation battery. The next one is your vehicle battery. This one here will give you your fresh water level. So you press that once, it will give you a fresh water level. As you can see, it's flashing here because it's low. And then the next one, just some brightness on the control panel. You can change the brightness settings. And then the bottom left here, that will give you your indication of your grey waste. This will flash here when your grey waste is completely full. And then here on the right, what looks like a plug, that will give you a green light when you are plugged into mains hookup. Here we have your diesel heating. So on your diesel heating, we do recommend to have minimum of 1/4 of a tank in your diesel tank. And then to turn it on, you need your 12-volt system on. But on the green light, that is turned on. Obviously you can select your desired temperature. You can select your speed, so you've got low, medium and high. And basically what this will do, it will flicker the lights. The reason for that is using some of the leisure battery to fire it up. Once it gets up to temperature, it will knock on and off because it has got a thermostat just here. One thing to know is not to worry about is when you do turn off your diesel heating, when you press this on the top right, it's shutting it down. Basically, it will turn off and then it will fire back up. Basically what it's doing is just an afterburn to burn any excess fuel in the chamber, because the diesel heating is a separate little engine underneath the vehicle. Next, we've got obviously travel seats. One on this side, just need to lift up the cushions, and then to lift up the seat you just twist this black knob here and that will lift up, and then you recreate the seat with the cushions. Same on this side here behind the passenger, you've got another handle just there. And then underneath, this switch here. So what this switch is for the underfloor heating, which is part of the Arctic pack in this vehicle. But this will only work on mains hookup. It won't work off your leisure battery. And on the underfloor heating, they do recommend not to have the carpets down, just for a safety thing. Obviously, you've got a fold-away table here. If you want to use this, make sure you pull out the support arm. Above the passenger seat, in the left corner here, as you can see, we've got two keys in there. So they are the safety keys for the drop-down bed and the table for the motor to work. Obviously, you can switch this on and off here. It's really safety keys, obviously, for kids in case they try to press the buttons. But also behind here, you will have your motor. So behind this cover here, you'll need access to this in case you can't get the bed back up. You do have a bed winder, which just goes on top of the motor, and then you can wind up the bed. The reason you'll need to wind up the bed is in case, one, potentially a fuse is blown. Two, you could have potentially run out of leisure battery. Or you could potentially have, the motor could have potentially failed. Most of the time it is because you've run out of leisure battery while the bed won't move or the safety keys are off. But this is where you will need access behind this cover to get to the motor to wind up, obviously, the drop down bed, worst case scenario. And for the controls for the bed and table, because the table's electric as well, are just here. But like I said, if the safety keys are switched on and there is kids around and they're pressing the buttons, if someone is stood underneath, then obviously you don't want the bed to come down. And then underneath, if you are bringing the bed all the way down, you just need to make sure you do lower this table, as you can see there, so you can bring it all the way to the base of the seats. If you are doing the dinette to berth, obviously you need to lower the table to set up the cushion and then use the bed ladder for the drop down bed. Next we have your kitchen area. So here we have got your 3-ring burner. So 2 on the right hand side is gas. This one is electric. On the electric one, that will only work on mains hookup. It won't work on your leisure battery. So when you are off grid, you will be on gas. One safety thing we do highlight is just let this area cool down just before you put the glass cover down, as you could potentially shatter the glass. Your igniter here, like I said, you need your 12 volt system on the control panel for your igniter to work. And then obviously we've got your knobs here. Obviously you've got your grill and oven on gas here. Your kitchen tap. If you want to prime your system, your water system. So basically, to prime your system, your pipework, your boiler, you need to fill up, first thing you need to do is close all the valves. So you need to close the yellow valve at the boiler. You need to close the white tap underneath the vehicle, so when you're filling up the fresh water tank. And obviously if you are filling it up completely full, you need to close that other valve, which is the min and max level. So once you close all the valves, you can then fill up your fresh water tank. When you've filled up your fresh water tank, you need to go to your control panel, turn on the control panel and then turn on the pump. That will then start to pump water from the fresh water tank. First thing you need to do is open the tap on the hot or cold side. If you do the cold first, it will prime up the pipework in the cold side. That will take a couple of seconds. Once you get a steady flow on the cold, twist it to the other side, to the hot, and basically what that is going to do, as long as you've shut the valve on the boiler, is going to fill up your boiler with around 10 litres of your fresh water. Once you get a steady flow from your hot water side, that means your pipe work and boiler is all primed, ready to use when you need. The only thing you do need to do is on your boiler side for your hot water, you do need to turn on your controls up here for the hot water. The hot water isn't instant, so you've got boiler on the left, 50 or 70, so that is when you're on gas, and then boiler EL is when you're on electric. So on electric, on the low setting, that'll take about 5 hours to heat up. On the high setting, on electric only, that'll take about 1 hour and 10. And then obviously if you do want the hot water a lot faster, put it onto gas, 50 or 70. And on 70 degrees, that'll take about 20 minutes on gas to heat up. Once you have turned this on and obviously your hot water is heated, then obviously you will have hot water coming through your tap. Here we have your fridge freezer. To use this, just press and hold the on button here. And as you can see, this is a 3-way fridge. So you've got a few settings on here. Press and hold here and it will flash. Like so. So I can go through the settings on the control. So A is for automatic. So basically that is going to select the best source it has available. As you can see, this plug one, that's when you connect it to mains hookup. Battery one is when you are the engine is running. That is giving a live feed to the leisure battery. So this is never going to drain your leisure battery. It only works when the engine's running. And then the next one is if obviously you're off grid, you're on gas. You'll be on gas off grid. If you leave it on A, it will automatically select the best source it has available. So obviously, if I turn the engine on, it will go onto battery on its own. If I unplug into mains, it will go onto the plug socket on its own. Here you have your temperature. So you will select your desired temperature when depending on obviously how much food you put in here. But a lot of people do say halfway is enough. A lot of people put this on about an hour before they are setting off on the travels just to get it cooled down. Especially if you've got gas, you can turn it on to gas, get everything cooled down while you're loading up. And then obviously as soon as you are on your way, turn your gas off. And then obviously your engine will maintain that temperature. And then in here, in the bathroom / shower area, you've got your basin tap. You won't need to prime this tap. When you first use it, obviously if you open it, you will get some air come through. But once one of your taps is primed, it's all ready to use. Got your toilet here. So you've got your grey blade here. So that is to open and shut the toilet cassette when using. And then down here, we have your toilet flush. So the blue button will use your fresh water to flush the toilet. And then there's an indication here what looks like a toilet cassette. Basically that will light up red / orange when the toilet cassette is full. So you just need to empty and clean that out. So that is the instructional / overview video of the Chausson Etape line 650. If you have any more questions, leave a comment below, or you can always drop us an email or give us a call.